Thank you for joining us today for our Quantum Spark session. Today we're going to talk about the silent crisis of our era, homogenization. So before we dig into the materials today, I want you to consider something bold, and that is that the greatest threat to your business, to your creativity, and to your future is not competition. It is homogenization, the slow erosion of your individuality. We're living in a world where everything is becoming the same. Cities look the same, businesses feel the same, people talk the same. Even creativity is starting to sound like it was manufactured on the same assembly line. And most of us don't even notice that it's happening. Homogenization is the force that takes your edges and sands them down until you become smooth enough to just blend in. It convinces you that safety lives in sameness, when in truth, sameness is the fast lane to invisibility. In today's Quantum Sparks, we're going to explore how homogenization quietly destroys value, how entire industries, including real estate, become commodities, how AI can elevate you or erase you, how individuals unconsciously trade originality for belonging, and most importantly, how to reclaim the characteristics that make you unmistakable. Because here's the truth. You don't rise by fitting in, you rise by standing out. And today we're going to rebuild the part of you that refuses to be a copy in the world. So today's class is Homogenization, the Eradication of Excellence. As always, knowledge is only potential. Some believe knowledge is power, but true power is in execution. So make sure that you take some notes today so that when you leave, you can go and execute on some of the principles or at least begin forging an awareness around these important ideas. So we start and end each Quantum Sparks with a quote. Today's quote, the people become interchangeable. When the people become interchangeable, they become replaceable. So let's talk about what is homogenization. In the old days, the only time you heard about homogenization, you were talking about milk usually. So the classical version of homogenization was like milk, blending elements to create just a single substance, like homogenized milk. But in modern times, it has become known as the blending of people, ideas, cultures, careers, until all the originality disappears. What happens when everything becomes the same? Well, your difference disappears. Value evaporates when everything is the same, and potential ends up collapsing. And why does it matter? Well, we're living through the biggest homogenization in human history. It's happening silently and it's happening fast. The danger is that when humans become interchangeable, they become replaceable. Homogenization is akin to commoditization, and commodities compete only on one thing, and that is price. Whereas experts, true artists, the originals, they compete on value. So the paradox of our era is that more tools for creativity have been created than ever. We have right at our fingertips all day, every day, all kinds of amazing tools to create. But more people are choosing sameness. This tells us something. It tells us that technology can liberate us, but it can also standardize us. And there's the trap. Most people unconsciously choose the standard. A good example of that in our business is allowing calls just to go to voicemail. That's the standard. That's what you get when you call the big conglomerates, if they even have voicemail. But the true professionals, the artists of our industry, answer the phone because that's something only you can do in your particular way. We are turning into a culture of homogenization. At one time, cities had distinct flavors and identities, but now pretty much wherever you go, it feels the same. It feels like where you came from. Architecture, design, restaurants, storefronts, coffee shops. Do you notice that they're all the same wherever you go? Even traveling to a new place, it's the same restaurants, the same stores, the same coffee shops. Everything is slowly becoming a copy of a copy. The same is true with fashion. Trends spread instantly, and then everyone just copies the same styles. So individual flair disappears. Same is true in music. Songs are now engineered for algorithms, not for artistic expression. And because of that, music begins to sound identical. How about entertainment? Hollywood now avoids risk. Every movie feels like a remake of the last movie. When was the last time you saw something truly original in entertainment? Culture requires differentiators, and homogenization kills the contrast that makes culture vibrant. What ends up happening is that human beings all become a copy of a copy, and that identity that they take on is an identity of average. So people shapeshift to fit the trends, the fashion trends, the business trends, what all the other real estate agents are doing trends, instead of shaping themselves to show the world what makes them unique. Why does this happen? Why do people become copies of copies of copies? It's because they're seeking approval, because they fear. These were all in last week's Quantum Sparks and last week's Mindful Monday. Because of social pressures to conform, because of government and societal systems that are designed for us to conform, to become copies of copies of copies. What's interesting is the way the world has been created. We think we're choosing, but the choices that we make are shaped by what we see around us. So we think we're choosing, but because of what we're seeing, what we've been presented, the choices are illusion. They are set up that way so that we become the copy of the copy. Social media creates templates of identity. So by looking at what other people are doing and the lives that other people are living and the real estate businesses that other people are building, we begin to copy what they're doing. We pick our template and say, I'm going to be that person. What's also interesting about the world we live in is because we're so attached to technology that now it's so easy for these technologies to have algorithms that can predict what we like, but also they can condition us to like what they predict. So that we think we're making a choice and instead we've been led down a path. People end up letting trends define them instead of defining themselves. It becomes an outsourced identity. It's important to talk about AI. and how AI is influencing life and real estate, our businesses. Because AI, of course, can be a creativity amplifier. It can help us do more and create more, but it can also be a creativity destroyer so that we begin to sound like every other real estate agent who's using AI. All of a sudden, images look the same in people's writings and posts and blogs. Their writing sounds similar and their voices feel identical because it's not them creating, it's not them writing, it's not their voices, it's AI, and it's an AI of sameness. AI can flatten identity because AI is a technology and it learns from calculations. It identifies with the average. AI recreates the average and it takes true intention to rise above that, to stand out, to live your authentic self. There's something called lazy creative. Sometimes you see this on social media where you can tell that this person is not thinking. They're making a prompt and then copying what the AI told them to write. And by the way, I'm not suggesting that AI is the problem. The true problem is unconscious reliance on AI. That is the true problem. Because AI can assist you in your business. It can help you do more and do things faster and be more effective and efficient. But unconscious reliance on AI, and all of a sudden, you end up losing your identity. All around us, we see homogenization in businesses. Huge corporations swallow small businesses. Everything is a chain, from coffee shops to department stores. And then there's a loss of local character. Cities lose their identity when the little mom and pop shops disappear, when the small businesses vanish because of the homogenization, the conglomerates that come in. And just like we said that AI is causing duplicates, causing people to become a copy of a copy. Well, that's happening in our cities through homogenization. Every city is becoming a copy of a copy. Homogenization also lowers quality. The standardization of things can increase efficiency for these huge conglomerates. They're efficient, they're making profits, but it eradicates excellence. By the way, what prompted me to do today's program on homogenization was I needed help from one of the big banks that I have my credit card with, and over the weekend. And so I called customer service to ask a question. And boy, talk about homogenization. You can't get a human. First of all, it takes a really long time to get a human. You have to go through several prompts of a computer or technology slash AI to get to a human. And then when you do get to a human, they're working off of very specific dialogues that they can say. So you're not even getting a true human that truly wants to help you and answer a question for you. In fact, they can't. They're just copies of the AI that took you 15 minutes to get through, to get to a person. So what happens when everything becomes homogenized? Well, when everything is the same, where wherever you go looks the same, where every real estate agent looks the same, then the only way to differentiate for the consumer is by price. So homogenization equals a price race to the bottom. This is also the death of craftsmanship. Mastery declines when the world no longer values distinct skill. So when it comes to your real estate business, are you a master craftsman? Are you an artist creating? Or are you copying, pasting something AI told you to copy and paste? Real estate is one industry where the signs of homogenization are everywhere, from huge conglomerates to agents all doing the same things. So, to the outside world, the consumer, every real estate agent looks the same, a copy of a copy. When agents are trained to operate identically, uniqueness ends up getting lost. You don't become memorable, you're just one of the copies. From the consumer's point of view, the consumer perception, buyers and sellers can no longer tell agents apart because everybody just looks the same. And because they look the same, it's assumed that agents are just interchangeable. The agent that is brand new and has sold one or two houses is interchangeable with the agent who's been doing this for 20 years. The perceived value of an agent's expertise drops when everybody looks the same. When agents become commoditized, that means lower commissions. That means the consumer is shopping for one thing, who's the cheapest. Discount brokerages emerge so that people who don't want to compete on their value and the art that they produce for the world as a real estate broker, that they go to a discount broker where all they have to do is compete on price. And loyalty ends up disappearing because all that matters is price once you've been commoditized. So think about how you're going to use AI moving forward in your business. It can fill in many tasks, but if you don't figure out how you're going to differentiate, it will replace you as a real estate agent. Real differentiation comes from your voice, your philosophy about the world and the people you work with, your presence, your energy, your expertise, and your story and how you share it. Homogenization encourages value through the return of the specialists. When you are a generalist, it's easy to become replaced. But when you're a specialist, where you do something so well, better than everybody else, specialists are chosen for that specialty. Your uniqueness becomes your pricing power. So something that is different, a human being that offers something different, that gets a premium. But if you look like everybody else, if you are the same, you must operate at a discount. It's not just real estate, it's all the industries. But we're also seeing homogenization of thought, where you see people parroting opinions that they've never really thought about or they've never really examined. You see people that just skim summaries of articles that they find in their email or on social media. They skim along the summaries and then they just assume that they understand the entire idea instead of digging in and learning and growing their awareness. And you see people who avoid expressing their original thought because they want to just avoid conflict. When all this happens, there becomes a collapse of critical thinking. When people stop thinking for themselves, they stop becoming themselves. When you stop thinking, when you stop digging in and learning about different concepts of any kind, when you stop figuring out your unique identity, you basically stop becoming yourself. And becoming yourself is the best value proposition for your business. Don't follow the thought leaders out there because too many thought leaders become thought followers. Everyone copies the same influencers, and then thought diversity evaporates. Don't follow. Go learn on your own. Become aware on your own. Dig into knowledge and information. The cost to identity is that you lose yourself when you live as a copy. Don't be a copy or a copy of a copy. Don't shrink your abilities to match the level of sameness that is out in the world. Rise above the sameness. There's a cost to society when everybody is the same. The cost is innovation. The cost is artistry, culture, humanity. All of it weakens when everybody, every city, every place you go, every person you meet, every business you go to is a copy of a copy. So what's the solution? It's simple. Be you. Difference is not a risk. Being uniquely you is the requirement of articulating value. This means that your life is your signature. The world does not need more of the same. The world needs your unmistakable identity. Homogenization makes you a commodity, but individuation makes you priceless. So before we go to the final quote, I had a few more thoughts because I want you to hold on to this core idea that homogenization is not just a cultural issue, it's a personal issue. Every day, you're either becoming more original or you're becoming more replaceable. Your value in business and your fulfillment in life comes from the qualities that no one else can replicate about you. It's not coming. Your value is not in your logo. It's not in a script that you pulled off of AI, and it's not in your systems. What makes you valuable is you. And in a world that's racing towards sameness, originality has never been more powerful. Your differences are not flaws. They are your competitive advantage. They are your fingerprints, your signature, your calling card in a marketplace that is drowning in lookalikes. So ask yourself, where are you still hiding? Where have you accepted the default instead of designing and sharing your distinction? Where have you let just convenience, the convenience of ChatGPT, erase your craftsmanship? And most importantly, where are you ready to stop blending in and start becoming unmistakable? Because the opposite of homogenization is not rebellion, it's awakening. It's remembering who you were before the world told you to tone it down and become just like this other real estate agent and what they're doing. And before you started following other people on social media and copying what they were doing. So when you leave today's class, give yourself permission to be bold enough and weird enough and original enough and alive enough to rise above a world that is addicted to sameness. Because your life is not meant to be a replica. Your business is not meant to be a commodity. And you are not here to be interchangeable. You are here to be unforgettable. And we will end today's quote from Gary Vaynerchuk: homogenization is the fast lane to irrelevance. As always, you can check out our previous Quantum Sparks classes at laerrealty.com/Quantum Sparks. And as always, if there's something you wish for us to cover in a future class, best place to ask us for information to be covered at a future time is laerrealty.com/ask anything. Thanks, everyone.